If you have a murti of your gods in your house, you must be a Hindutva person. There's nothing wrong with being a Hindutva person. You love your religion, it's fine. We are a free country. We are free people. Then if you worship Saraswati, you are a right-wing bigot. Hindus are mild people. They believe that everybody has freedom to do what they want. They believe all paths lead to one place. They don't fight. You burn the Manusmriti, okay, burn the Manusmriti. You burn the holy book of the Islam, what happens to you? No courage. Never to bow the head before fascism, before tyranny, before anybody who abuses you. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you are. Wherever you are, never give in, which will achieve so much, which will remain there long after the white man is gone, and which will always stand for dharma, which will always stand for the pursuit of truth. Very confident young Indian who's proud of what she is, proud of her identity, willing to stand up for herself and not bow before any fascist in any part of the world. She has a very global mindset, a very keen intellect, and a willingness to understand where she comes from and to project that in a proper manner. In this country, for many, many years after independence, we have been a beaten people because we were poor. At the time of independence, Rashmi, India was the biggest economy in Asia. China was destroyed, Japan was destroyed, Southeast Asia was destroyed. Of the 5 richest families in Asia, 3 were Indian. Great Britain owed us £1.5 billion for the war effort, and promptly they devalued the pound, and Nehru destroyed what was left. Pandit Nehru was educated in Harrow and Cambridge, and part of the Fabian School of Economics, we taught them socialism. He believed that the state alone has the right to control the economy, and state could decide for everybody. That means it was intellectual arrogance at the highest level, typical of white imperialists in UK, as in Oxford, who said they knew what was good for the world and good for people, and what they said was to be obeyed by everybody because they said it. And he brought in a controlled economy, license quota Raj, which destroyed the Indian economy and made us poorer. Gandhiji made a statement when he was alive, just before he died and maybe before that. This desh mein sarkar vyapari hai, us desh mein janta bikari hai. And we became bikaris. From 1950 to 1980, because of state control over a country which has been a trading country, one of the richest country human civilization ever knew, and the country where the whole world came because of our riches, with highly skilled population, destroyed by Islamic invasions and colonial domination. He brought in state control and suppressed private capital and suppressed the Indian entrepreneur. I'll give you data, then I'll talk about the book, because it's important to understand the Indian mindset which is reflected in this book by various people. Between 1950 to 1980, India grew at 3.5% a year, population grew at 2.5% a year, and per capita income grew 1% a year. We became poorer in 1980 compared to 1950. The world grew at 4.5% a year, Asia grew at 6.5% a year for 30 years. Because of Nehru's policy carried on by his daughter Indira. Nehru would have made a few IITs, some institutions which did well, but an intellectually arrogant man who believed that he alone had the answer. Whereas Gandhiji wanted the village economies to come up, he wanted a top-down Soviet model because he felt he could decide for all of us what was good, and we were the great unwashed masses, the great poor masses whom he was born to take care of. Gandhiji never believed that. Gandhiji traveled all around the world, became an ordinary Indian. And 1980, we opened up a little bit. We grew at 5.5% from 1980 to 1990. And per capita income population grew at 2.25%. Per capita income grew at 3.25%. But our overseas debt went up from $20 billion to $80 billion. And we were broke by 1990. We had only had $5.3 billion, more than what Pakistan has today. But we're a smaller economy in foreign exchange, enough for 15 days of imports. So we are in deep trouble. So we opened up and liberalized the economy, gave back economic freedom, which was promised to us by our founding fathers, and which Nehru destroyed. And we have grown from 1991, $275 billion to $3.49 trillion today, growing at 8.2% a year for 32 years CAGR. And we have become the 5th largest economy in the world because we opened up. China opened up in 1978, now has a GDP of $20 trillion. In 1978, India, China were $150 billion, more or less the same. It's bad policy which destroyed India's future. And I am a part of the pre-91 generation who finished his CA in 82. And when I graduated, there were not many jobs. I got 11 job offers, all outside Bangalore, because I got a rank in the CA, but not in Bangalore. But that time, the anger of my generation is shown in the movie Diwar. Angry young man. His father is a trade union leader. He is fighting for workers. The Malik come, kidnap the family. Tell him, we'll kill them unless you sign. He goes and signs away the rights of the workers. Then Amitabh Bachchan, the elder boy, is caught. You return here. Mera baap chor hai. And the father leaves them and goes away in a train and wanders around India and dies in a train later after 20 years. So the mother takes these two boys to Bombay. They always go to Bombay. In the Hindi movies, you live in a village, poor, fall in love with the Thakur's daughter, wooer. Then Thakur says, Tera paas kya hai, paisa nahi hai. So he runs away to Bombay, becomes very big, comes back and finds she has married somebody else. And the tragedy and all starts, right? So everybody goes to Bombay. He went to Bombay. This young boy, elder boy, polishes shoes on the streets, earns money, and the younger boy is educated because he works and he is angry. Once he is polishing a shoe, the smuggler comes, suited, booted. All smugglers were suited, booted those days. Because those days, our heroes were Haji Mastan and Karim Lala. You must have heard of smugglers because they had money. We had no money. We are broken. And he throws a coin and he says, Saab, maine kaam kiya hai, haath mein paisa do. So that smuggler removes the money, gives it to him and says to his colleague, ye lamba safar ka goda hai. Then Amitabh Bachchan, the young boy becomes Amitabh Bachchan. He goes to the port, works at the Badli, and some old mamu gives him befriends him. And look at how Salim Javed writes, gives him a billah, token 786, which is holy in Islam. And that old man is, money is taken away and he protests and he dies in an accident there. And Amitabh beats him up, but he keeps the billah here next to his chest. Symbolism of Salim Javed. You got to be careful about the guy. He's very communal. And then he becomes a smuggler, makes a lot of money and becomes big. And his brother gets a degree, goes for a job. He passes and they say, congratulations, kaam mila aapko. Then he goes out. Before he goes out, a call comes from the Malik. Wo kaam hai, isko dena. Nepotism. No jobs. He calls him back, Saab, mujhe nahi hota hai. Malik ne bola hai, aapko nahi milega. So he has no jobs. He falls in love with a nice girl, rich girl. Then he becomes a police officer. After becoming a police officer, he finds out his brother is the biggest smuggler in town. And then goes tell the mother. And the mother is very angry and upset. The mother and the younger brother go confront the elder brother in his house. They say, Beta, tune kya kiya? Kaise kiya? Kyun kiya? Then he gets angry. And he says, Ma, ye dekho. Mera baap chor hai, maine kya kiya? Then he says, Mera paas paisa hai, bangla hai, sab kuch hai, tera paas kya hai? Younger brother says, Mera paas maa hai. You can't fight that argument. Mother is the mother. Then he goes away. Then he hunts his elder brother. Police shoot him. He gets upset. He dies. He's dying. He goes to a temple. And he fights with the Murti. You are my God. How did you do this and all that? You have to show that because you have to show Islam is good and Hinduism you can fight, right? And when the police shoot him, when smuggler shoots him, the bullet hits him on the chest. He doesn't die because the billah is there. So symbol 786 billah protects your life. Look at what Salim Javed wrote. We never understood that till recently a IIM professor wrote a book to say in 56% of time of the Hindi movies, the mullah is the good guy and the Hindu priest is the bad guy and Hindus are bad people, communal and all the nice stuff, right? And then he dies and that's the end of the movie. But it showed the anger of my generation, a failed economy with no jobs. We opened up in 91, we grown in 91 and that is Rashmi's generation. A young Indian with a global mindset, willing to stand up for identity, proud of what she is, come from a small town, Udupi is a small town, grows up in a rural area, goes to Manipal, MIT, Satya Nadella comes from there, and goes to Oxford. Oxford, which is very big in North India and Lutyens India, they want to send their children to Oxford because they want to be like the white colonial rulers. The class system is still there in Delhi because they're the ruling class, leftovers of the Raj, all leftovers of the Raj. And they ruined this country for many years. And when she goes there, what does she find? She stands up as a proud Hindu like Rishi Sunak. And they're attacking Rishi. Because if you stand up as a proud person from a country called India, which is colonized and ruled by the white man, then you must be a racist. If you have a murti of your gods in your house, you must be a Hindutva person. There's nothing wrong with being a Hindutva person. You love your religion, it's fine. We are a free country. We are free people. Then if you worship Saraswati, You are a right-wing bigot. It's very shocking how people deal with people like that and go after her. And she's a young girl from a small town, calls herself a proud Hindu because she's naive, silly, stupid, whatever you call her, because she's not experienced all this. Very innocent. Goes to the white man's country, Oxford, the home of intellectual tradition, the home of liberalism, the home of great thoughts. And she gets this experience. And who leads the experience? Indian Bengali faculty who abuses her, abuses Indian civilization, abuses Hindus and say you're all worthless. They're the ones who sold their soul to the British. They're the ones who first conquered. And they send their children there, so there's no future for them. And he writes long letters. And I think she has quoted some of it. And I think it's remarkable how he writes and expresses. He says, so true, I remember when I was a kid, I broke several Saraswati idols by thrashing them on the floor. I've been aggressively anti-religion from childhood to see. Breaking Saraswati statues hasn't had any bad effect on me. Ha ha ha. Because these people believe you can break an idol. Break an idol. Okay. Try doing it in Islam. No courage. Why Hindus are mild people? They believe that everybody has freedom to do what they want. They believe all paths lead to one place. They don't fight. You burn the Manusmriti, okay, burn the Manusmriti. You burn the holy book of the Islam, what happens to you? No courage. So these are all cowards who abuse their own religion, sell their souls to the white man, to get in the white man's good books. And he was the one who led this agitation against Rashmi at the faculty, and I think said Oxford is not ready for a Hindu president. What is wrong with the Hindu president? What is wrong with the Muslim president? What is wrong with the Christian president? What is wrong with anybody being a president? So long as you're elected. Then they picked up some of her old tweets or whatever and labeled her anti-Semitic, all the language, I can't repeat the language, I don't understand that. And abused her. An innocent little girl just come with her eyes wide open to a great university and nobody supports her. The university doesn't support her. And this faculty writes, the mob descends on her and abuses her. And all the racist tendencies the white man takes over. They all join in abusing her, writing about her and doing all kind of things. Just imagine what she has gone through. She's gone through hell. I mean, you are an innocent person gone to a strange country with no support. And you have gone there wide-eyed, with wonder in your eyes, learning, respectful. And the mob sets on you. And then everybody is against her. The Hindu simply has to be the villain. Anti-Hindu bigotry is not going anywhere in the near future. The irony of the situation is that all misrepresentation Hindus are brushed aside at the exercise of free speech and artistic freedom. So you can attack the Hindus, attack the holy icons. Nothing will happen to you. The Hindu will not protest. You can't do it for others. If you do it for others, Islamophobic. What has happened in Manipur? The Métis are getting killed. The Kukis have got the Baptist church and everybody. And they created a narrative which is fight between two religions. Thousands of churches have been burned. No evidence. They tried to go to the EU to do that, all these evangelicals. Fortunately, Cardinal Gracias of Bombay gave a video to say this is not a religious fight. It's a fight between two tribal communities been going on for a long time and suppressed again. But what did the media do? What did Radhi Sardesai do? What did all these people do? Created this Hindutva, Hindu versus Muslims, Hindu versus Christians, when it doesn't exist. The Kukis are part of the group which comes from Myanmar, cross the border, have illegal drug trade, very big drug trade. They're in all over the hills, looking down on the plains. Nobody talked for them. You've seen the Kukis with machine guns, photographs you must have seen. And the Myanmar army threw them out. Refugees are coming. Now we're building a wall, which is built long back. And look at the narrative that's set. The same kind of narrative that is going on. Despite the clear and public declaration from the teaching faculty that Oxford students were not ready for a Hindu president, few outfits claiming to be Oxford societies had the audacity to publish a joint statement that Miss Saman's resignation had nothing to do with the fact that she's a Hindu. The British are very, very clever in covering up everything. They're very devious people. They can cover up everything and create a false narrative to cover up what happens to them. The mainstream media simply parroted this deep-rooted bias and republished the statement without first checking the affiliation of the three societies. For the record, no news outfit has published an article with the title, Oxford faculty claimed they're not ready for a Hindu president. So she was discriminated against on the ground that she was a Hindu woman. Hindu woman, both victimized. But being a Hindu woman from Udupi, she fought back. She didn't give up. She resigned as president because she said that She doesn't want to do this anymore, and you can understand the mental state. And any other person would have taken their own life. But she was strong. She said, I'll fight back. She went back, did the course, passed with honors, I presume, and did very well. And she said, I'm going to fight. And she fought against Oxford. Some British Indians helped you. Pandit Satish, what is the name? Satish Sharma. He helped her, filed a case. And you must see Satish Sharma on Twitter. And Oxford said they'll have an inquiry, postponed it for a long period of time. Is the inquiry report out? And it took a long time. Did they exonerate you? But no media reported. There is nothing in the media, neither India media, the Western media. Because there's not news. Abusing a small girl from a remote town in south of Karnataka. And look at the portrayal of South Kendra district, the home of Hindutva, bigotry, right extremism. I was in a TV debate with Radhe Sadhas. I said, oh, South Kendra. I said, man, you don't know what is South Kendra. South Kendra people have suffered from the influx of the Moplas from Malappuram. They're buying up all the properties there. South Kendra people remember the Mopla rebellion, so-called Mopla rebellion, when the Moplas killed 30,000 Hindus and butchered them. My grandmother was in Kerala near Talicherry, because T is Talicherry name. They went away to Mangalore during that time. And she used to tell my sister, I remember, don't go outside in the evening, the Moplas will carry you away. Never understood that. But she had the memories. The Moplas used to carry you away. Brutal killers. They made into heroes by the CPIM as people who fought against the landlords who were Hindus, right? All kind of fake narrative. And Gandhiji, of course, supported the Moplas, tried to cover it up. That's a very sad story because of different reasons. And they are coming there. Remember the memories. So there is distrust. And there are fights. And the Hindus fight against them too because they said they're going after the Hindu woman, blah, blah, blah. It is not that the Hindus of South Kendra are criminal. Generally, both sides are taking tough positions because there are differences. You need to understand that instead of labeling them and doing that. South Kendra has a very enlightened, highly educated population. They're good people. I keep going there. And they're very good people. The district has got the best human development indices, better than the United States. Better than the United States. They're brilliant people and they're all labeled, oh, bigotry, Hindutva, all kind of rubbish because these guys don't know, they've never read a book. It's like the state government of Karnataka which says we're not going to have the new education policy, right, NEP. I don't think any of the politicians who make the statement read the policy. The policy was drafted by a committee headed by Dr. Kasturi Rangan, widespread consultation, hundreds of meetings, hundreds of revisions, all state government give their view. Finally, it's come out a set of principles. I read the Dr. Radhakrishnan committee report, Kothari commission report. I participated in that. This is the best report that you have and a 20th century report. Now when they're saying, oh, we will cancel it. Why? None of them have read it. They can call Dr. Kasturi Rangan, debate with him and ask him and tell us exactly as citizens which part of any new education policy they're against. They don't have the intellectual ability to debate that and say what is it they're against. Some students oppose, some students oppose. There are a lot of leftists who oppose. They oppose for sake of opposing because none of them have read it. It's like all the people who went after the book was published and criticized and called the book name. The book was not even released. Right, Rashmi? Book was not even released. The Oxford people said this is a right-wing book, like this book, bigotry book, this thing book, and abuse her again without reading the book. They're the kind of people they are, devoid of any intellectual capability. And that is why this book is important. It shows the fight of a young Indian who's proud of what she is, and we must admire that, and who stood up for her rights, who suffered a lot, and who is publishing it with courage, telling people what happened in one of the greatest universities in the world. That university is not liberal. If you don't support a poor student who is being set upon by faculty and others, it's not a liberal university. True liberalism is protecting the rights of everybody to their views, even if you disagree vehemently, and never shutting them out. Fascists are people who cancel others, who shut others out because they don't quote out to your point of view. So Rashmi did not quote out of their point of view, they tried to shut her out. But she stood up. And that's why I am her admirer, and I commend her to you because this generation, the new India generation, should be like her. She's a role model. She's fought the battle, stood up for what she believed in. She is a global citizen from India. She's not a Britisher. She's not a white. She'll never be a white. She's not an American. She can survive and work and flourish in any part of the world. That's what we want our children to be. That's what we want our children to be. Indians are the most economically well-off community in the UK, in the US, and all around the world because the good people, they have family, Like Vivek Ramaswamy keeps talking, the presidential candidate of the United States, and they're proud of their education accomplishment. And the Indian parents sacrifice everything for the children. The Indian mother will eat one meal less, but make sure the child gets good education. No other community does that because we respect education. They're the only society in the world throughout human civilization, Rashmi, where the scholar is at the top of the totem pole, not the soldier. When the Rajguru comes to the court, the king comes down, washes his feet, prays to him, asks him to come sit next to him on a stage, on a chair higher than him. And the Rajguru is supposed to look after the spiritual requirements of people, right? And the king bows to him because we respect knowledge. Knowledge is the true power. Knowledge can enlighten human beings. Knowledge can give you self-realization. And that's the kind of people we are. And when Rashmi went to seek knowledge in the bastion of Western imperialism, she suffered racism and she suffered fascism and she was sought to be shut up. She showed courage, she showed determination, she fought for her rights, and this book says it all. So please read this book and tell your children never to bow their head before fascism, before tyranny, before anybody who abuses you. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you are as a free citizen of a free country. Wherever you are, never give in. That courage is within you. And you belong to an ancient civilization which has achieved so much, which will remain there long after the white man is gone, and which will always stand for dharma, which will always stand for the pursuit of truth, and for a Rama Raja, for everybody, not only them, for everybody. Vasudeva Kutumbam, that's what we say. We believe in one world for everybody.